Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church in Eugene. Hello, Zoom friends. We're glad you're with us today. Yes, where do we come from? And what are we? And where are we going? These are three questions that open up a space for stories to happen. My name is David Balkovin, and I use the pronouns he and him. I'm this morning's worship associate. For a visual cue, I'm a middle-aged white guy who's completely bald. I'm wearing my sort of typical plaid shirt with blue and green in it, and then I've got one of these beautiful worship associate stoles. And I am this morning's worship associate. Lyrics of our opening song are an English translation of the original French title of a painting by Paul Gauguin, created in Tahiti in 1897 and 1898. It features three groups of women. Viewed from right to left, they represent the three questions posed by the title of the painting and also our song. The women with the child on the right of the image represent the beginning of life. Where do we come from? The middle group represent the daily existence of adulthood. What are we? And the old woman facing death on the left side of the image is asking, where are we going? According to the Korean-born German philosopher Byung-Chul Han, we live in an age of temporal crisis, an age of atomized time. Disconnected events come rapid fire one after another. It's just one damn thing after another. According to Han, in his books The Burnout Society and The Scent of Time, we need to get out of a pattern of craving endless instant gratifications. We need to find a way to rekindle a sense of depth and significance to our experience of the force of time. Stories can help us do that. They can help restore to us an understanding of time as something we inhabit rather than a resource to be used. People do use stories to help create a meaningful way of experiencing time. Today's worship service will explore the importance of story in our individual and communal lives. For those who are new to the church, we have a printed handy guide to Sunday worship. It's this half sheet. And if you would like one of those, one of our greeters could possibly come and give you one if you hold up your hand. This is not an order of service. This is sort of like, giving you a sense of like what happens during a typical service. So if you need that, definitely indicate. And if you didn't get one, do please wave. Zoom friends, our tech team will be dropping a copy of the order of service and a visitor form into the chat. There they are. Anyone need one of those? Okay, there we go. We're good. Thanks, Molly Mae and Christina. Okay, now let us enter into a time of worship by lighting the flaming chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. I'm asking Simon to come on down to do that for me while I am sharing these words from Lee Kinvey. This chalice is for the living, the changing, the becoming. This chalice is for losing the script of your life, the chapters about who you are in other people's stories. This chalice is for the lost GPS that was supposed to show you how to get where they expected you to go. This chalice is for skipping the directions, coloring outside the lines, painting not by number, but by silence, by wild abandon, with a brush you made yourself from light deep inside, startling, vivid, a new voice that already knows you. Finally, a true story.
Hello, hello. Good morning. Good Sunday morning, everyone. I am the Reverend Jen Youngsun Rue, and that was Suzanne Giordano. Suzanne, that was amazing and a lot of fun. I use the pronoun she and her, and for anyone needing a visual description, I'm wearing a pink stole, and I've got my hair down to my shoulders, and I'm wearing mostly black and brown today. Ryan, come please. So every once in a while, I ask Ryan, who's a wonderful storyteller, if I can hang out with the kids and tell a story. And so I asked her for that permission today. And she said,
I said, absolutely, Rev Jen. That would be wonderful if you wanted to share a story with all of us. We'd love to hear one. So if there's anyone who would like to sit a little bit closer to hear a story, come on up. Pull up a cozy carpet rectangle. David's got plenty for everyone. And we would be happy to hear a story from Rev Jen.
thanks, Ryan. So have you all noticed that we take time out in every single worship service to do a story for all ages? Why do you suppose we do that? Why do you think it's so important for us to tell stories, especially while you're still in the service? Any idea? Yeah.
Wait, I don't remember what I was going to say.
Why are stories important to tell?
Because some actually tell true things that people need to understand.
Oh, yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Why are stories important?
Some of them teach lessons like like greed can lead to losing everything, or lying is a bad thing, and other stuff that kids don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much. And I've got one of those stories to share with you today. I think it may be a story that you know already. It's by a very famous author named Paulo Coelho. He's Brazilian, and this story is set in Brazil. So once upon a time, long, long time ago, there was a businesswoman. And she was sitting on the beach in a small Brazilian village, just looking out at sea. And while she was sitting there, she noticed a fisher person. And this fisher person was rowing a small boat towards shore, having caught several large fish. And the business person was impressed by these fish and asked, "How long does it take you to catch those many fish that you have there?" And the fisher said, "Oh, it doesn't take very long. It just takes a couple of hours." And then the business person said, "Well, why don't you stay out there longer, and then you can catch even more fish?" Well, the fisher said, "This is enough. This is enough to feed my family." And the business person said, "Well, what do you do with the rest of your day?" And the fisher said, "Well, after I take the boat in, I sell the fish and I clean some of them for my family, and then I go take a nice little nap, and then I play with my kids, and then I eat some supper, and then I go out with my friends and play music, and we sing and we dance all night." And the business person said, "Well, you know, I have a PhD in business. And I can tell you that you could be a very successful fisher. All you have to do is spend more time at sea, catch more fish, catch as many as you can, and then you'll be able to buy more boats. And then once you have more boats, then you can set up your own fishing company. And then you can have so many fish coming in, and then you can build a plant where you can can your fish, and then sell those, and you'll have a big distribution network. And then you can move out of this small, boring village and move to Sao Paulo, which is very exciting. And then you can set up your headquarters and manage this big enterprise." And the fisher said, "And then what happens?" And the business person said, "Oh, after that, you will live like a king in a big, big house. And when the time is right, you can sell your shares and your stocks in the stock exchange. You can become very, very wealthy and rich. And the fisher person said, and then what happens? And the business person said, well, then you can retire to a small fishing village. And then you can just go out fishing just to catch as many as you need. And then you can come home and take a little nap and play with your kids and have a good time with your friends. Ba-dum-bum. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Stephanie Dorman. I use she, her, and I am a snowman-shaped, graying, middle-aged white woman, and I am a member of your board of trustees. Being in a radically inclusive community means we get to constantly meet new friends and deepen relationships with them. It means that when we say we know who we are. And we know that each day we mean one more. I'm happy to introduce our newest members. Their stories and photos will appear in an upcoming issue of our email newsletter. Please make a special effort to reach out to them to say hello. As I call your name, please come forward. Stevie Segerstrom, Ben Stone, Judy Sieber, Kathy Gillum, Stephanie Colton. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You've been looking for something larger than yourself, an intentional community of belonging and care, people who don't put fences around your love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. When you signed the membership book of this free church, you did not sign on to a set of beliefs or religious doctrine. You did enter into a sacred promise, what we call a covenant. Now let us all join in renewing our covenant with each other by repeating its words. But thank you for taking a breath with me anyway. As a beloved community empowered by love, we covenant to embrace the next person who is always arriving, open to the change they will bring. We covenant to trust others in their identity and truth and work to be trustworthy. We covenant to speak our truth bravely and gently as we commune in love and peace. We covenant to make efforts to understand and make amends when intentions and impact collide. We covenant to expand our connections with larger community with humility and empathy. We covenant to remember that how we are with each other is the foundation upon which we build the beloved community. We learn to hold each other in grace, and we welcome our new friends.
Hello, Zoom friends. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you'd like me to read out loud in a few minutes, please write them in the chat now. Friends, we are living in a time of instability and uncertainty. Already, the incoming president has signaled his intentions that make us worried for our own safety and that of our family and our friends. Oregon's racist groups are ramping up their hateful messages, targeting anyone who looks like an immigrant. Over 100 anti-transgender bills have been filed in states across the nation. The fires in Los Angeles are devastating, so frightening. We worry about our friends and our family who live down there, and we're wondering how to prepare ourselves for climate-related emergencies right here in Eugene and Springfield and beyond. We watch as the ultra-rich grab political power, and we're using words now like oligarchy and fascism to describe our government. Meanwhile, the wars rage on, while our tax dollars pay for bullets and bombs. Our worries, your fears are real. So take a breath with me. And let that exhale be longer than your inhale. You are safe here now. In this hour, you are okay. We're okay. Together, we have the power to write a collective story about how we use our power during these times. We can write a story about how we drew closer to one another and how we let love and justice enter our lives and how we used our courage and our generosity and let those things lead us forward. Our weekly ritual of joys and sorrows is an important act of storytelling, of communal storytelling. Even if those stories are told in the quiet lighting of a single candle or placing a stone in water. You know, I've noticed that some of you share very easily with other members of the congregation. And for others, it takes a little more effort, and it takes a bit of risk to write something in the chat or something in the book to be shared with everyone else. A long, long time ago, before I was a minister, when I was a member of a UU congregation back east, I never shared anything during joys and sorrows. Sometimes it was because I felt a little shame about my setbacks or my failures. And sometimes I told myself that my little problems didn't amount to anything that was important to anybody at all. I told myself sometimes nobody really cares. And other times I told myself that I wasn't like everyone else. I wasn't like the people in the congregation, my lived experience being so different compared to the normal-looking people in my church. And so I thought, no one will understand me. Those were the stories I told myself long ago. But you know what? They were not true. The stories are important. Your story, your story, your story is important. It's important to me, and it's important to this beloved community. When Baal Shem Tov saw misfortune threatening the Jewish community that he was leading, it would be his custom to go to a certain part of the forest, and there he would build a fire in a very particular way, and he would say a special prayer, and then the miracle would be accomplished and the misfortune avoided. Years and years later, when his disciple, the celebrated Maggid of Mezrich, had the occasion for the same reason to intercede with heaven, he too would go to the same special place in the forest and say, "Master of the universe, please listen. I do not know how to build the fire, but I am still able to say the prayer." And again, the miracle would be accomplished and the people would be saved. Still later, the Rabbi Moshe Leib of Sasov, in order to save his people once more, would go into the forest and say, "I do not know how to build the fire, and I do not know the words to the prayer, but I know this place, and this must be sufficient." And it was. The miracle was accomplished. And then one day it fell to Rabbi Israel of Ryzen to come again because the people were suffering from misfortune. But this time he was sitting in his armchair, his head in his hands, and he spoke to God. "I am unable to light the fire, and I do not know the prayer, and I cannot even find the place in the forest. All I can do is to tell this story and hope that it is sufficient." And it was. And it was. Building a fire, saying a prayer, telling a story. These are things that human beings have been doing for 200, 300,000 years. I mean, these are very fundamental human activities. Rachel Naomi Remen, the author of Kitchen Table Wisdom, reflects that when she was a child, people used to sit around the kitchen table to tell their stories. We don't do that so much these days, she writes. Sitting around the kitchen table it wasn't just a matter of passing the time, but telling stories. That was our way that wisdom got passed along. Despite the awesome powers of today's technology, many of us still do not live very well. And she suggests that we need to listen to each other's stories once again. There are all kinds of stories, right? There are narratives that explain the mysterious. There are tales that teach, parables that warn, and sagas that entertain. The best stories are deeply personal and at the same time universally understood. The shortest story ever written, do you know this? Was penned by Ernest Hemingway. Just 6 words. I think some of you know. For sale, baby shoes, never worn. As David mentioned earlier in the service, storytelling is the way we deal with time. We are creatures in time. And so this is our way of looking into the future. What is going to happen? What is going to happen? Or explaining something in the past. Let me tell you what happened. And then to describe the present. This is what's happening right now. Stories can be beautiful and enchanting, inspiring and edifying. Stories can also harm, right? Who gets to tell the story? Who is the author? Who is the teller? Whose values are being lifted up by a certain story. Some of the stories we hear serve to keep the status quo in place. Make sure that no one is out of their place. And those with power sometimes use stories to manipulate others, either intentionally or unintentionally. These days we have alternative facts and disinformation, propaganda, and these are harder to spot, harder than ever before to spot, given Facebook and TikTok and Twitter, X. The UU Service Committee, in partnership with the Congregational Accompaniment Project for Asylum Seekers, has been exploring something called ethical storytelling. They're asking each other, what is the best way to tell stories about a particular group of people, especially groups of people and their stories that have been historically misrepresented? Even with our best intentions, our storytelling about others can be part of the oppressive system, those oppressive systems that we're trying to move away from. And then there are the stories that we tell about, or that we tell ourselves about the world that we live in. These are the stories that are going on in our brains over and over again, right? Stories about who we are and how others see us. A few of those stories have been playing in our heads on loop for many, many, many years, so long that we may not even be able to hear them anymore. What are some of the stories that have been running in your head? Do you recognize some of them? Is anybody willing to share? Martha? Can we get this mic on? Martha, what story runs in a loop in your head?
We'll find peace someday.
Oh, that's a lovely one. We will find peace. We will find peace someday.
That somehow I'm an imposter and going to be found out as a fraud, despite projecting my most true and authentic self.
Yes, a lot of us recognize that tape.
That despite all of our concerns and worries, that it seems things always do work out in the end and everything turns out okay.
Lovely.
The saddest story I ever heard was that you are stupid, that you do not have the gifts of being able to do things. And I'm learning that as I grow and I realize that my mom is gone, that I do have gifts and I'm here to share them.
Ellen Rose, thank you so much. You do have gifts. You do have gifts. We're so glad that you're here with us. Some of the tapes that run through our head, they are helpful and they help us get through the day. Some of them can be harmful. They can hurt us. It's important to listen and to know what those stories are. Within this setting, within this spiritual community of people voluntarily entering into a covenant with one another, storytelling is the very currency of our relationships. It's the very currency of our community. Stories carry so much meaning. And as little Ash said this morning, stories teach us and transmit moral values. They bind us into a shared narrative. Now, this community of Unitarian Universalists in Eugene, Springfield, has been here since 1909. And so if you were to tell the overarching story of this UU institution, there would be a story full of times of equilibrium and peace. And then something happened, right? Something happens. Then there's disruption, and there's some pain, and there's a push away from comfort. And then the people respond. People make decisions, and the community is transformed. And then there is a new equilibrium. And this goes on and on and on, and has been going on for hundreds of years, and it will keep going on. We are in the middle of our, let me say, we are at the end of our visioning process. Someone reminded me yesterday that we started our visioning process a year ago in February. So we're coming up on a year. Yesterday, a group of us met to finish the first draft of our vision. So we're really excited that we're getting close to being able to present that to the board first and then to the congregation. And so this visioning process is really a storytelling exercise. It really is. It is answering the question, what story do we want to tell ourselves, tell about ourselves, and what story do we want our children and our children's children to tell about us? Personal storytelling, as opposed to communal storytelling in this kind of setting, is a practice of courageous telling and very generous listening. Offering and receiving one another's story in this communal setting creates bonds of friendship which grow and deepen over the years. Yet, for many of us, telling our own story, telling our personal story, brings a lot of risk. The poet Laura Hershey describes what you risk telling your story. You will bore them. Your voice will break. Your ink will spill and stain your coat. No one will understand. Their eyes will become fences. You will park yourself forever on the outside, your differences once and for all revealed, dangerous. The names you give yourself will become epithets. Your happiness will be called bravery or denial. Your sadness will justify their pity. Your fears will magnify their fears. Everything you say will prove something about their God or their economic system. Your feelings that change day to day will freeze in place, brand you forever, justifying anything they decide to do to you. Those with power can afford to tell their story or not. Those without power risk everything to tell their story and must. Someone, somewhere will hear your story and decide to fight, to live, and to refuse compromise. Someone else will tell her own story, risking everything. This is the kind of community that we are trying to build here. Being part of this community takes an incredible amount of courage and risk-taking if you want to do it. Nobody's going to force you, but the opportunity is there. You know, for years I have been hoping that we could get a coffee house up and started here, right? A chance for people to come sing and play the piano or read a poem or tell a story. So do you all know the Moth Radio Hour? Yes? Wouldn't it be fun to have our own version of Moth Radio Hour here, right? And maybe if we got good enough at it, UUCE could become the venue of one of the Moth radio storytelling competitions. So I am picturing a small group of people working together on their storytelling skills and practicing with each other before sharing it in front of an audience. So is there anybody who would like to do this with me? I think this will be a lot of fun. So let me know if you want to do this with me. For those of you who may want to do a little project by yourself, I've got one prompt for you, an invitation for some afternoon writing perhaps. So here's the prompt. Think about a time in your life when you felt the most you, when you just felt like you were your truest self. And then just describe, where were you? Who were the people around you? You know, what was the situation? And maybe you'll have a start of a story that you can share with others. Everyone has a story. Every one of you has a story because all of you have lived a life, right? And that story is absolutely worth telling. You are worthy, your story is worthy, and we want to hear it. May it be so. Amen. Last Sunday, Ember, our ministerial intern, kicked off our annual pledge drive season with a very inspiring message. And this afternoon, we are going to further kick off our pledge drive with a big party. So it's at 3 o'clock. Everyone is invited. There's no charge. There will be great food and drink, and you'll hear more about our plans and dreams for our next fiscal year. And now I would like to invite Diana Weiss to share her story of why she gives her time, talent, and treasure to this congregation. Come on up.
Thank you, Rev. Jen. Good morning. Good morning. So my name is Diana Wise. I use the pronouns she and her. I'm a member of the Small Group Connection Circles Committee, of which I love working with the folks that are on that. For those who need a visual description, I'm an elderly woman, silver hair, short, kind of round, kind of old, but I'm young at heart. So today I'm wearing black pants and a colorful blouse with kind of a peacock feather print on it. So this morning I wanted to speak to you a bit about the small group connection circles here at UUCE. I've been coming to UUCE since the fall of 2018 and became a member in the spring of 2019. And when my husband William and I first got here, we were moved to tears by the message that morning and realized that we really had found a home. We had worked for St. Vincent de Paul for a number of years and ran the First Place Family Shelter. And we worked a lot of hours. And our community was the wonderful team of folks that we worked with. And when we retired, we realized that we had lost our community. So we found our way here. There were many churches that we worked with over the years, but this is the one we chose to come and check out. Hadn't been in a church in probably 30 years, other than because of my job. So anyhow, so we came here and checked it out, and we heard about something called small group ministry. And we figured out what that was and how to go about registering, and we did. And the first one that I went to, I was hooked. I was committed because it was such an incredible experience. The people that I have met through the many small groups that I've been a part of have been the most important part to me. Because how do you come into a church this size, and we used to go at the coffee hour afterwards, and it was awkward. I didn't know anybody. There was nobody to talk to. So I'll just say, if you've been around here a while and you see new faces, reach out to them. So, but joining the small group made that different. I deeply care about this program and the connection that it brings. I enjoy the topics that we cover in those 10 two-hour sessions. It's a way to learn about each other and ourselves because we share our story. And we gently and respectfully listen to other people's stories, because it's a time of deep listening, which is pretty uncommon in today's world. The second series for this year will begin in February, and today is the final day of registration. Dick Lesher and Michelle Wyckoff will be out. And there's Dick back there with his hat. There he is. He and Michelle will be out in the hallway after the service to answer any questions you have about it or to help you register. And if you folks that are on Zoom, you can go and register directly online. Go to UUCE.org and look under the heading Connect, and then there's a link down for the small group connection circles with a registration button there. And I just can't express enough. I don't know how many of these I've done. I've been here about 6 years, and I've done one each at least once a year. So, and sometimes I did too. But they're very important to me, and I hope some of you will come and join us and share your stories with us and make new connections and new friends. So thank you for your time this morning.
It's our practice at this church to donate the offering from the first 2 Sundays each month to a nonprofit organization that shares our values. The worship theme for January is story, so we thought an appropriate recipient for our community offering this month would be Word Crafters in Eugene. In their mission statement, they write, "We believe in the power of storytelling and its ability to create community. Since 2012, Word Crafters has been empowering writers and readers by increasing access to community, the craft of writing, and inspiration. They operate a number of different writing workshops for both adults and youth. Especially inspirational, I think, is their Writers in the Schools residencies programs, which serve more than 200 low-income, at-risk students in Lane County schools each year." Last Sunday, Word Crafters Associate Director Joe Bartlett was able to join us to tell us a bit more about their organization. It was very heartening for me as a member of the community offering team to see that when I went to go check on them to make sure that they didn't need anything later, that they were swamped with people wanting to talk to them. So that was a really great thing to see, because that's the whole idea of this community offering program, is to create those sorts of connections between our congregation and the wider community. So it was really great to see that. Thank you. Remember that if you intend your check to instead be part of your annual pledge to the church, to please clearly indicate that on your check as writing UUCE pledge in the memo line. Otherwise, everything we collect today will go to the Word Crafters organization. If you're not able to give money, please know that your gifts of presence, kindness, and love are truly appreciated. Consider offering a brief prayer of blessing as the basket passes by. Thank you, Suzanne. And may your generosity help to alleviate suffering and bring greater wisdom and compassion into the world. We have a few short announcements. For all of our first-time visitors, thank you for joining us today. Every service is a little bit different, so we hope you'll come back several times to get a sense of who we are. And I'm wondering if anyone who is a first-time or a third-time visitor or whatever might be willing to just give a quick wave so that, someone can seek you out to avoid that awkwardness, as Diana was talking about in her testimonial. So, all right, great. We have got a lot of first-time people, so let's seek those people out and give them a warm welcome. After the service, please do stay for coffee or other beverages. Our welcoming room is located in the south foyer. It's that really beautiful glass enclosed room over there. It's a place for both long-time and first-time people to meet and greet each other. Today is the last day to register for the small group connection circles, as Diana mentioned. There will be an informational table in the south hallway if you need help signing up. And I was also, as I was listening to Diana's testimonial, I was wondering how many people have participated in one of these programs over the years. Oh my goodness, look at that. Isn't that great? And yeah, I just want to add to what Diana already said that, it's just such an important feature, and it's like one of my favorite things too. So thanks for sharing about that. Also, next Saturday on January 18th from 6 to 8 p.m., we're going to have a cozy soup night. And so links to volunteer opportunities and purchasing tickets are in the Weekly Connections newsletter, or you can also ask Colin in the office. All right, so we will have our closing song. Thank you.
I know, he's back with a microphone. Let's try it. This is a song by David Dodson, and I want to teach you all the chorus first, and then we'll go into the verse, which has some call-in response. So the first, for the chorus, which will be up momentarily. Walk with me and we will see the mystery revealed. When one day we wend our way up to the farthest field. And that's the whole chorus. So try it. Want to try it with me? And we sing, walk with me and we will see the mystery revealed. When one day we wend our way up to the farthest field. There is a land, high on a hill, where I am going, there is a voice that calls to me. The air is sweet, the grass is wave, the wind is blowing away up in the farthest field. And the chorus. Walk with me and we will see the mystery revealed. When one day we wend our way up to the farthest field. The sun will rise, the sun will set. Across the mountains, and we will live with beauty there. The fragrant flowers, the days and hours will not be counted, and peaceful songs will fill the air. And the chorus, walk with me and we will see the mystery revealed. When one day we wend our way up to the farthest field. I know one day and leave my home here in the valley and climb up where that field so fair. And when I'm called and counted in that final tally, I know that I will see you there. Oh, walk with me and we will see the mystery revealed. When one day we rend our way up to the farthest field. Oh, my dear friends, I truly love to hear your voices lifted up in a radiant song, though through the fears we all have made our separate choices. We've shifted where we belong. Oh, walk with me and we will see the mystery revealed. When one day we wend our way up to the farthest field. One more chorus. Oh, walk with me and we will see the mystery revealed. When one day we wend our way up to the farthest field.
And now let's say together our closing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now, my friends, I send you forth with the words of Universalist preacher John Murray. Go out into the highways and the byways. Give the people something of your vision. You may possess a small light, but uncover it. Let it shine. Use it to bring more light and understanding into the hearts and minds of others. Give them not hell, but hope and courage. Go in peace, my friends.